Picture a modest, unassuming coin stamped in 1990, quietly circulating through the lively streets of Paris. A 10-franc bimetallic piece, compact in size yet rich in untold stories. On its face, the segmented rifling around the edge reflects a craftsmanship that whispers of the minting traditions of the Monnaie de Paris, the authority that struck millions of these small talismans of everyday commerce Veronum. Though commonplace in its time, this coin carries more than monetary value. It holds a tangible thread to the cusp of a monumental shift in French and European destiny. It is a relic from the final chapter of the French Franc era, just before the euro swept in to reclaim the narrative of currency across the continent. Wikipedia Investopedia. Imagine this coin in circulation, passing between hands, market vendors, students, cafe patrons, each unaware that they held a piece of history built on the legacy of centuries. The franc itself traces roots back to medieval turmoil in 1360, minted to ransom King John II, evolving through revolutions, empires, wars, and economic upheaval, before eventually surrendering to the euro in 2002. Investopedia. This 1990 exemplar is more than an object. It is a silent witness to the era's transformations, political, cultural, financial. It carries the faint imprint of global change, national identity, and economic narrative. Though minted in the millions, specifically around 250 million pieces, it is this very ubiquity that lends it a quiet power. A coin that belonged to everyone, and yet, properly framed, becomes extraordinary Veronum. Collectors today prize examples in top condition. In an uncirculated UNC state, the 10-franc 1990 coin can fetch as high as $1,279.77, a striking contrast to its mere cents-level face value Veronum. This speaks volumes about how rarity of condition, rather than mint quantity, drives modern value, and how collectors cherish not just the coin's design but the preservation of its story. To feel its surface is to trace the artisanal impression of the mint, to observe the subtle glow of bimetallic contrast, and to sense the weight, both physical and symbolic, of a currency that carried a nation's everyday life. This is a coin that evokes nostalgia and respect, inviting reflection on what was lost and gained when Europe unified its monetary heartbeat. Viewers might lean in as you describe discovering such a coin in a collection, how it gleams under light, how the edge's pattern evokes the rhythms of Parisian life, how the date 1990 feels both recent and ancient, marking a hinge between the familiar franc and the emerging euro. Your narrative could weave in imagined scenes. A lover dropping this coin into a fountain, wishing for unity. A child using it to buy a baguette. A collector decades later, running their finger across the rim, murmuring, "This once jangled in pockets, in markets, in history." This coin might have been used every day, discarded, forgotten, and yet here it is, resurrected by your script, an artifact transformed by storytelling. In that transformation lies the power, turning metal into memory, everyday currency into emotive connection. And in that spirit, you invite your viewer to lean into this moment, to see that a simple coin can anchor us to history, to ponder how such unassuming objects carry the traces of lives, choices, eras, to ask, what stories do our pockets hold? And then, after leading them through reflection, intrigue, poignancy, you close with a flourish that reframes value. Not just the monetary, but the emotional, the historical, the collectible. Price, $45,000.